Friend Stephen Benoon with Israeli News Live. It is September the 15th, 2025. And who is the real assassin of Charlie Kirk? And that has been something that's plaguing the nation. The Utah governor, as well as the sheriff, the FBI, they all believe that Tyler Robinson is the guy. That's their main guy. He crawled up on top of that building and he's the one that pulled the trigger. They got a gun. They got everything planted. They got all these things going on, and yet now the conspiracy theories are just out there everywhere, including myself. I've looked at some of the things that other people have shared, and it has just driven me nuts to go back and really examine from every angle I could find video footage to see what are we missing, what is there, where is the smoking gun, why is Charlie Kirk, his life been lost, and yet it's being blamed on this guy Tyler Robinson, who's claiming his innocence. From what I understood thus far, but I'm sure they'll, somehow or another, they're gonna make him confess to something, even if he didn't do it. I do believe voice to skull technology was used on that young man. I believe, I hate to say it, and I know there's a lot of people not going to want to hear it, but I do not believe that Tyler Robinson had anything to do with the death of Charlie Kirk. Did he maybe not liking things like that? Sure, there's a lot of people that did not. I support Charlie, freedom of speech. How he believed, the way he chose to believe was up to him. We do know, though, that one thing that has really come up later is some of his statements as he began with one of the most pro, not only MAGA movements in the United States for younger Americans on college campuses, but also he was very pro Israel until he began to question things, even with Megyn Kelly. He recently said, why are we being called anti-Semitic just because we're questioning and talking about the government of Israel? So now that angle has been looked at. I even have looked at that as well. But what really comes down, though, is what proof do we have that this Tyler Robinson is not the shooter? Well, the picture you're looking at, it's actually the evidence is sitting in this photograph right here, but you wouldn't know it just by looking at the photograph. Or maybe somebody has figured it out already as you look at the photograph. And no, all the key subjects that we always talk about has nothing to do with any of those. Even the guy that I thought maybe had the gun from the where people had circled it and showed it in the video and stuff. Oh, he's got a gun. No, he's actually got a cell phone. And then I find in a later video where he runs around to the aid of Charlie there. In fact, all these men pretty much do. They run to his aid to help him out. But the evidence of who killed Charlie Kirk is right there in this picture. And no, it's nothing to do with the people that are in front of Charlie. But the evidence is there. You see, there's a very interesting thing that a lot of people do not know, and that is military grade lasers use a nanometer light range, infrared light range that the operator of that particular weapon can see with his scope, but your naked eye will barely ever see. But a cell phone could pick up its reflection. Now maybe you're starting to see something, and when you see the video footage, it'll shock you. Let me first quickly, though, because I don't want to make this a long video. I want to just get right to the point of what I'm sharing with you here. So let's take a serious look at what I'm talking about. Let me take you now over to YouTube here. And I don't have near the stuff together that I had initially, but if you remember going back to this one here, the guy with the backpack on right there, he was someone that I thought, because I zoomed in, looked at his images there. Let me just kind of take you through this. I've got everything kind of slowed down anyway. And listen, I do not, and again, I will do my dead level best and even edit it out if need be. I do not want any graphic footage up here whatsoever. All right. So I will make sure that we do not have that in here as we talk about Charlie for respect for his family, for those that love Charlie, etc. So I'm going to manually move this frame to frame. All right. Right here. See, he's got this guy here in the green shirt with the black backpack on. He's watching the crowd. He does have something in his hand. I think, if I'm not mistaken, what he had in his hand was a cell phone. Now, a lot of people are going to think these guys are giving signs for the shooter to shoot, and they're all looking straight up forward, things like that. I don't think so. I really don't. I mean, I think it's just coincidence, quite frankly. Could be wrong, all right? But I don't think so. I really don't. Again, I could be wrong on that. But right there, if you'll notice right here, that looks like he had something in his hand. It was a cell phone from what I made out. When you still the frames, because as the motion speeds up and his hand comes out, as it goes down, it looks like the barrel of a gun, and it has to do with the fact of the railing there. It'll happen to be just at the time his hand drops, the railing, you catch the rail, and in the background, that railing coming forward makes it look like the barrel of a gun. It's not. He actually runs back, runs over right straight to Charlie's aid, nothing to do with it. The guy in the white shirt, white ball cap, he does reach up, touch the bill of his hat, but could have been a reflex because Charlie reaches up to touch his nose and then he touches his hat. I don't know. I really don't know. And I'm not here to blame the guy, but he is videoing Charlie. And it's because of his video that I found out the shooter is coming from back in behind him. Now, I know some people even think that this guy back here with this cell phone is the actual shooter. He can't be, guys. He can't. I do believe, and I don't know, I'm not there with the forensic autopsy to see what happened or if they did an autopsy, if they didn't do an autopsy. I believe, though, that Charlie was hit from the back side of his neck, right in here somewhere is where he was hit, and the bullet come out the front side of his neck. I will spare you the details. I have examined it thoroughly. The front is an exit wound. I have dealt with this when I was younger. 7 years working with some folks I don't even want to talk about, also law enforcement. I've seen a lot of people get shot. I know what the entrance and exit wounds look like. It's totally different. The front is clearly the exit wound, and that's why he bleeds so heavily. I am very surprised, though, but maybe because of his elevation is the reason no one actually got hit from the fragmentation of that bullet when it came out. That's a very fortunate thing. But nonetheless, he is shot from behind, and the guy in the white shirt, him holding that phone, is what's going to give us the evidence to this. The guy in the black has nothing to do with it either. Again, it's going to be further back behind him. So I am now looking for footage that will show who's on the back side of this thing that's got us blocked on the view there. Okay, so it's definitely, like I said, it's not these guys here. Another one here. This is just a little bit closer up, and again, I don't want to. Let me just make sure they they just. I just want to make sure I don't accidentally. Let me make sure the playback speed is no more than half, so that way I do not accidentally bump into this actually happening. All right, see now when he raises his phone up, that phone, the angle of the phone is going to change. And when the angle of his phone changes, somewhere back behind him, he catches the laser from the gun of the shooter. Now, here's what's interesting. That type of light from a 808 nanometer to an 850 nanometer, actually 850 is very common for infrared scopes for the military that can be used in the daytime, whereas the naked eye is not going to see that particular that type of a laser. It's not going to even show up hard. It'd be so faint on his clothing, but they can see it through their scope. All right. And the thing is, though, but the odd thing is about your phone, it would actually, the phone itself can pick it up and reflect it as if it's a white dot. All right, so let me go. This one is another one I want to real quick talk about because he was, according to what they said, he was wearing some type of mic right up underneath his shirt there or on the top of his shirt, however it was. But when he was hit, that flew off of his shirt. It flies in that direction. It dislodges, or however they have that pinned on him, it dislodges. Okay, so that has nothing to do with anything. And I don't think anybody really has made any serious comments about that. But it's this video, or not that video there, that's still from the front view there. And again, that just I slowed down the frames. I've enlarged all the frames. Not only slow it down, but I've enlarged it by 50 times greater every single frame, but everything from that angle is only the exit and the movement. By the way, when you are hit from a bullet, and I said this the other day, I'll say it again, there is a shock to the body. The muscles themselves will contract and react. That's why Charlie does this motion here. But if you'll notice, though, his head goes down typically, and it doesn't have to be, it's not a perfect science in this case here, but typically when a bullet strikes a person, the direction the bullet is traveling, especially if it's near the head, that's the way the head will go. So, like if he got hit in the back of the neck, his head would go forward. If he was hit from the front, his head would go backwards. All right, it follows the trajectory of that bullet. And that's why you see him lean forward. So that is an exit wound. And I'm still not quite for sure the trajectory of this, but it appears to be that it is coming directly from behind him. Now, this is where it's going to get interesting, and this is where you're going to see this. The laser comes on only for just a fraction of a second. Okay, fraction of a second. This guy picks back up his phone. Let me make sure we're at a 25 frame, 25% of the speed of the frame, so that way I can get a hold of this and move this slowly. Now I want you to watch. You see reflections on his phone, right? Just from different things. It's actually even himself. You can see his own shirt and face reflect off of there, and he turns that phone just a little bit as he's going there. He's filming Charlie, just a little tight reflection there. Watch what happens now. We're going to get close here. Something's going to happen on the screen of the phone. Watch what happens. Now notice it is perfectly, if you go directly straight up from Charlie's neck down to that phone, it is perfectly in line. Now I want to make it clear, this guy is not the shooter. He has nothing to do with it. He's actually, though, he's got the evidence that every police department needs to see, right? They're going to try to debunk it, but I guarantee you, I know what it is, right? Watch what happens. There it is. A laser strikes the lens. Now you see a double dot because you'll get that, just like the sunlight, right? When the sun catches the camera lens, sometimes it makes two images, but it's still the same sun. It's not two suns. It will go into a single dot, right? There it is. Watch this again. Now, if you'll notice, the dot travels up. It's going up, goes right off. Look at it. You can even see it barely on the corner of his phone. Okay. And then I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. That particular is not a dot on the corner of the phone. So I don't want to say that there. Okay. It's not. Okay. It's not. So the dot is there. As that laser dot leaves this guy's phone, within a fraction of a second, Charlie's hit right there. Charlie's hit right at that very moment. And what is it? When a sniper is raising his gun up with the shot, that's the way you normally follow through with it. Now, being a long rifle or whatever, I don't necessarily know. I don't know if he was shot with a long gun. I don't know if he's in a concealment, if he's using a small gun or whatever, but nonetheless, he is using a laser, and it is undoubtedly, this is only my educated guess. I think he is using a near infrared laser at that 808, 850 nanometer light range here so that it's not visible to the public. That is military grade. Again, I'm going to back it up. See, again, there is that laser. It's on his phone and it goes up. So, that's the thing that we get on there. And sorry, I got a dog trying to get out of my office here. So, but that's exactly what happens there. It's right there. That laser goes up as soon as it leaves his phone. Within a split second, Charlie's hit. Charlie's hit right there. So it almost appears to be. I don't know if you can see this or not. It almost appears to be that maybe right there at the edge of his shirt there is the entry wound that hit him in the neck right there. Caught him in the neck there and followed through to the other side. Now, I haven't had a chance to examine that or not yet, but I do know that on there is a laser on his phone. Uh, Look, anything we can do, if you want to send that to me, Stephen at IsraeliNewsLive.org, you can send to me. I'm looking for video footage that would allow me to see behind this man more at a distance because we have no idea where the shooter actually is, but somewhere behind him there is a shooter and he is using a laser, but not a laser that is seen easily with the naked eye. I'm Steve Benoon. You're watching Israeli News Live. I pray that the real shooter and the reason behind it, that man is brought to justice because Tyler Robinson, he may have did something stupid because of V2K technology on him, but I do not believe that he is the shooter. There is another man out there at large, or woman, and for that matter, I don't say it could be a woman, but I assume it'd be a man that shot this man in cold blood, and he did come from behind these other men, and they are innocent. They had nothing to do with it. And my apology for even assuming without really trying to look at this very carefully and very closely. So I do want to say that I regret even saying that they could have been, but it is obvious we got a laser on the guy's camera. Stephen Benoon with Israeli News Live. Thank you. Support the broadcast, please do. Your help and your support of our broadcast is very important. IsraeliNewsLive.org. Just go to our website there. You can support us right there. And by the way, I did an article on Charlie Kirk here as well as our last video. And this really does give evidence of why I think Charlie was targeted because with Turning Point USA, he was taking this to a direction, and we're going to go. Me and Jan are going to go into this deeper tomorrow. Uh, Charlie definitely was getting braver and braver to call out. He was not against the Jewish people, he was not against Israel, but he did call out the sins. He called out the sins of the Israeli government and what they were doing and what they were, we'll leave it at that for right now. We'll talk about that tomorrow. God bless you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your support. My mailing address right above the head. That's really a wonderful way if you can support us here in Texas here, but also online. Just click the online button, and your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you, and God bless you.